Hey Tony, how you doing today?
I am doing fabulous. As I like to say, I'm doing awesome, but I'll be better soon.
Good deal, man. For the guys who don't know you, can you introduce yourself?
Yep, Tony Cobb, a rain gutter, all gutter systems in Grandville, Michigan, on the west side of Michigan. Been doing the gutters since I was used to be a house painter in the late 80s. Used to start subbing out the gutters, and then 95, I made a full pledge just to get into the gutter business. And I added a machine every single year for 6 years. And my goal was to be able to take off for a month to go climb Denali up in Alaska. And since then, I keep doing a lot of stuff, a lot of stuff. I'm working on the business. And what I really enjoy is getting a lot done. And they always say you get a lot done right before you go on vacation. So I go on vacation a lot. That way I can get so much done.
Absolutely. Are you on vacation now or?
No, but you wouldn't know it when people don't never know when I'm in. I literally flew spur of the moment, bought an airline ticket, flew to Washington D.C. and bought a diesel F-150 and drove it home 700 miles yesterday. Got in at 4 o'clock in the morning and still back here by
Here you are.
10 to 7. Yep, to show face to the guys when they're all showing up to go to work today.
Good deal, man.
So
So I guess you're starting the Gutter Association. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that?
yeah, so let me give you a little bit of background on the Gutter Association. I was there used to be in Texas a company or an association that was trying to get started called ARCSIS, which is a long acronym for American Association of Rain Carrying Systems Installation Specialists.
Really?
That's a long ARCSIS over there. And I showed up to there with about 150 other gutter contractors. This is back in 2002.
Okay.
And I had been a gutter helmet dealer for a couple of years, but they had gone through some changes. Their patents were expired, so they actually cut me as a dealer. I was the rookie of the year in 2000, 2000, and then 2001, end of 2001, they cut me as a dealer.
Okay.
No, totally. I literally had a skid of videos with my company, All Gutter Systems and Gutter Helmet, and I got cut as a dealer. And I was frustrated at that. And then the next summer, I was developing a gutter cover along with running my gutter company. And I ended up going to that in 2002 in summer in San Antonio. And 150 other gutter guys there just showed up at the last minute, just registered, paid their registration fee, and just talked to the gutter guys. I'm like, man, these guys really need help. And a lot of the questions, and the association was really being founded just for Texas,
Okay.
by a lady that was trying to sell insurance to those members. And she
Okay.
put this thing together. She did a great job putting it together for Texas. And there was a couple of us got together and like, hey, we need to form an association. So we end up pulling together, got some nominated. I walked away. I was president
Oh,
in
awesome.
2002. Was serving with a couple other gutter guys in Texas around the country, and it worked a little bit, but they didn't quite put the meetings where we needed them to be,
Hmm.
and it faltered after a couple of years.
Okay.
We had a convention expo way out in the very peninsula out in Maryland, out there on the 3rd of January. And we didn't get to pick this. This gal was putting this system together.
Right.
And we shared a hotel, a budget hotel, with 800 inner city middle school students. They were pulling the fire alarm while we're trying to have a meeting and stuff like this, and having to leave. And it's literally -5 degrees out there and 40-mile-an-hour winds. They're having to all go sit in our cars. It was crazy. It didn't, and it faltered after that over there. So it ran for a couple of years. And I thought, man, this thing really needs to there. I end up selling my gutter company because I went
Hmm.
through some things similar to what you've gone through with divorce.
Yep,
And
absolutely.
and so I went through that, and I was out selling this gutter cover that now we sell it as Gutter Hood. I sell that around the country. I traveled face to face with gutter guys long before Zoom, right?
Yeah.
And so I would go out, I'd fly out, I'd be out 3 days a week. I'd be out talking to gutter guys, usually 3 guys a day. I would do, did that for 3 years, hundreds and hundreds, and actually over 1,000 gutter guys that I actually talked to, and was selling the product, went from 0 to 10 million. Again, this is in the early 2000s. Did well with that. But then, ended up getting custody of my oldest daughter, and I didn't want to be flying around anymore. And
Yep,
so I
I understand.
broke off from that. And so I ended up doing, back in the beginning of 2006, I was like, you know what, I'm going to restart this association, which was a bad time to try to do that. We kicked off our first convention in Chattanooga that we were planning in September, and we were, calling it. We had over 100 people. I think we actually had 99 people pre-registered and already prepaid to come there. But the problem is that year it was so dry. It was so dry, and then it rained for like 2 weeks straight right before the convention, and everybody's like, I got work, I don't have time to go for this, and they didn't show up. And
how many people showed up out of the 100?
We might have had, I think we had like 60 attendees,
Okay.
but and most of those were like walk-ons. Half of those were just walk-ons that didn't even pre-register.
Right.
And so the people, I called back, why didn't you come? Like, oh man, I was so busy. I finally got some work. We've been dead in the water. I had to go get work done. And it rained for 2 weeks. We couldn't even work. And so it really kind of killed the momentum. And at the same time, I ended up getting my gutter company back. So
was it the same company, or do you have to start a new one?
Rain Gutter Consultants is my parent company, because I had to sell the name of All Gutter Systems to them, because it was All Gutter Systems Incorporated.
Sure.
And so I just sold them the assets of the corporation, and then I just had to change the name of the corporation. Well, I ended up getting All Gutter Systems back. Well, by then, Rain Gutter Consultants is already running the National Rain Gutter Contractor Association, the NRGCA.
Okay.
And so then after, I had a full-time guy working there, talking to people, calling people over there, and we were helping people really. You used to be able to put in gutter, and we were right number 3 on Google just by saying the word gutter. Anything you do phrase gutter, the association was there. We had 8,000 gutter companies listed there, some with members, not members. We listed everybody there. It was at the beginning of the whole SEO thing, right?
Sure.
So we were really good with that, and we had some standards out there, and we had some members up there, but it was just everybody. In the 2008, 2009, all the associations, the home builder associations, the Better Business Bureaus, Rotary Club, everybody, the associations lost about 70% of the membership. It's the wrong time to try to start a rain gutter.
When the economy is crashing.
Yep.
Yep.
And I got my gutter company back. They had 4 guys working, and they had a day and a half's worth of work on the board when I got.
So they're pretty much drying the water.
They were drying the water, but within 3 weeks, I was back to 8 guys out, and we were out over 4 weeks worth of work.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
What did you do to make that happen?
Well, a couple things happened. One, the price of gas dropped a lot in 2006 in September. Okay. And it rained really good for us. Just me coming back to work. And when I sold the gutter company, they literally collected the uniforms from the employees, and they never wore a uniform. We inventoried the number of yard signs that we had when I sold the company the day of, and they hadn't put out 1 yard sign the entire time. All those little things that I did to make your company work that you're teaching every day.
They didn't keep all the systems going.
They didn't keep the systems. All I did is plug the systems right back in place and got it up and going. Of course, then, I'm losing my momentum because I was still selling the gutter protection product. I'm still doing, I actually had guttergraphics.com. So we had, at one time, we had over nearly 200 websites. I had a full-time graphic designer, which I still do to this day. I'll slide you over here, turn off this over there. You can see him over there. He's busy working right now. We're going to do how do I got to shut this off for a second here? I click this here. Choose a virtual background. None. Yeah, you can see Ross. There's Ross over there working.
Good on, Ross.
How you doing?
Good, man.
Ross is over there. So Ross has been with me for nearly 15 years, and and I've had another guy here before him, but we cut all our own vinyl graphics are right here. For yard signs, we do brochures that we can customize for our dealers and a couple businesses that we have. So I've always had them right here because I need things done and we can get done quickly. And I literally would be able to walk in to a home or to a business that was a gutter guy, take pictures of it, send it from my phone, and they'd upload it, and it would already be on the Rain Gutter Association website.
Yeah,
as soon as they look, oh, just look you up, you're already there. I'm like, what? That's my truck. That's just the technology is just having it that close. And that was back in 2006,
Yeah.
2005.
So you've always kind of stayed ahead of technology.
We try. I've
Yeah.
always gone to MetalCon. I've gone to every one of these seminars I go. That's how you you have to stay on the cutting edge, right?
Yeah, it's important. It don't matter if you like it or not. It's kind of where things are going and where you need to be.
Yeah. So now with with Brand getting involved, I lost my butt and doing the convention in Chattanooga in 06. Just didn't, I lost money and I'm like, okay, I'm done. I'm gonna stay focused. I got to take care of my daughter. And I got, 3 daughters and a son. So it took me a while. My story, we just finished out the story, is that, I ended up losing, my business. I had to sell because of my divorce. I had to, I lost a relationship with 3 of the 4 kids. I lost my Vitamix mixer, which I really like.
Yeah, I remember you telling about the mixer.
Yeah, right. And so the funny thing is that I pulled everybody together in 2018 in December, and I told my whole team together, did kind of a Michael Scott meeting, you guys, here I am. I lost the company and got it back, and now we're more than double the size we were.
Mm-hmm.
I lost a relationship with 3 of my 4 kids, and now I have a great relationship with all 4 of my kids. It took a long time. Some of them I didn't see for 7 years, so I've been there. Okay, difficult times, but now great relationship. And I bought my own darn Vitamix mixer for $450. Okay, and still use that thing about twice a week.
Must be worth it.
Yeah, but then I told them, I says, look, there's one other thing I lost in my divorce, and I'm going to get it back on Friday. It's not a Tuesday. I go, I'm going to be off the grid. You're not going to see me for a couple weeks.
Yeah.
And I'm gone. You guys can talk about it, but I'm out of here. And
Yeah.
what it was, I went to India and got a hair transplant, got my hair, because during my divorce, I lost all my hair.
Yeah.
That's why I went there. So that's my funny story of how I, feel like now I feel like I'm fully back. My
Got it
company
all back.
3 times, more than 3.5 times the size we used to be. So we're doing pretty well. We have a gutter company. I have the Underdeck Oasis product, and we still sell gutter hood as a product out there, and we have dealers for those products. But so I'm involved with supporting Bren. I'm his #1 fan to put that on. I know what it takes, and what he's risking to do it. And I'm also a very big cruiser. I've taken as many as 21 employees on a cruise at a time. Love cruising, and so I have the gutter cruises coming on after GutterCon this coming year. But I got Noah, and Noah is the reason why. Noah Lance, he sold gutters with me for a while. Then he worked with ArcSite, and then he's come back from ArcSite, and he's back over there, and he's helping me launch the association because he's a great writer and he can put the systems in place. So we're doing a lot of things with the turnkey, and that's what we're here to talk about today, is to talk about the association.
Absolutely. So why don't you tell us more about it?
So yeah, so we talk about the association. There's a lot of things that we need. I'm involved in here's what really cemented in my mind, that when I'm out trying to buy a truck, I was buying a brand new truck, and I'm like, well, what else? I'm talking to the salesperson. I'm like, what else can I get a discount on? There's more things you can give me a discount. What are they? He goes, well, you this or this. I'm like, no. He says, well, you remember the American Quarter Horse Association? I'm like, no, what's that? Like, well, I'm like, you get a $500 discount if you're a member. I'm like, it cost me $35 to be a member. Boom. Well, here's the email. Here's my membership number. Okay. I'm thinking, like, sometimes it pays to be a member of something and you can get value back. And I actually, that year I got $500 3 times that year. And I've done it a couple times since then when I buy new trucks. I don't always buy new trucks, but if I do, I want every advantage I can.
Absolutely.
So one of the things we're putting together is the whole list of benefits. Since we're a group, we get members, we get discounts. So we're getting a 20% off a jobber, okay, by being a member. We've negotiated that
Really?
with them.
That's
Yeah,
pretty
so-
big.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
huge. So our goal is to make this membership pay for itself just by the discounts that you get. That's one thing. So we got Staples, we got a discount at Sherwin-Williams. We have a really cool thing we're doing with Engage presentation that Noah's actually putting together a turnkey seamless gutter presentation. You can tweak it, to your specific, whatever you're doing that's specific, your unique selling position. But he's going to have that all set up, and that's already part of your part of the membership package. We're also putting all the different things on how to build a downspout in video form, okay, and testing, so we can test. My company, when I'm doing this stuff, I want to do it for my company, but if I'm going to take the time and make my gutter installers have 5 levels for seamless gutters, you're level 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5 guy, he can cut a compound hang cut miter and make it look beautiful with K-style or 2-step or half round or anything. That's the top guy, right? That's in seamless gutters, and in half round, that's a whole different set of 5, which you need to know. So we're writing those systems out, getting real specific, beta testing it with other guys, so they agree that this guy is a level 4. How they get qualified to be a level 4 guy, by a level 5 guy has to approve him that, yeah, you do know your stuff. And so that way you can set pay raises based on what people pay by what their skill level is, right? When someone says something is hard, we just learned in the seminar, it's not hard. You just need to have some skills added to it. And then once you know those skills, it's easy. And so we're trying to systemize that as much as possible. So that's one part, the education, or worked with Brent on it. I'm actually taking the name Gutter Academy back from him that he has trademarked. And we're going to put it in part of the association. It has its own Gutter Academy, so that you could learn these different things. So that's some of the simple benefits. Some of the other benefits, we want to help people understand what OSHA can help you, so that so we're not afraid when they show up to a job site and everybody needs to take lunch, okay, so that we understand what they can do. And they are helpful. I mean, you really can work from the edge of the roof, okay, and you could be right there bending over the edge of the roof, but you have to have a spotter whose designated job is to spot you, is to make sure that he's watching you and communicating with you. I'm like, oh, I didn't know that was even legal to work.
Is that with or without a harness?
Without a harness.
Without a harness.
Without a harness.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah, then I didn't know it either. So when we sat down about 3 months ago, we sat down with OSHA, like, what are the rules? What do we have to have? We talk about, you got to have a 3-point stand. Well, you don't have to have 3 points while you're climbing up the ladder. How do you possibly carry a gutter and still that? While you're climbing the ladder, it's okay to carry it up there. You're fine up there. There's certain rules about the rung of the ladder. You can't move your shoulders both outside of the rung of the ladders, right? And so there's certain rules. And so we're going to take the time and have those turned into cartoons and learning lessons that we're going to do. We're going to turn this stuff turnkey. If I got to do it for my company to comply, I'm going to do it. But then I'm going to charge for it by putting it onto the association.
Absolutely.
So we're doing it that's why the Gutter Academy is teaching people how to work safely. And, we'll work alliances with different safety manufacturing that make all the ropes and harnesses and stuff, try to make it. So what is the best practice? But we don't know the answers. I know that I don't know the answers. I got guys a lot smarter than me, but I'm just want to coordinate that with Noah and talking to them. And we've talked to different guys and worked that out. So that's some of the benefits. And then the other really big benefit that a lot of guys are getting in trouble for is they don't have a written safety plan. And they don't have the tailgate safety plan. So you're gonna love the safety program that we're putting out. And that's probably the biggest benefit that we have. That's right off the bat. I know gutter companies that have been hit with $15,000 fines, because as soon as OSHA pulls up on a job site, if you don't have a safety program, before you get out of the truck, they can fine you.
I was on a job site with, we were doing an apartment complex and we were following behind the roofers. Luckily, my guys, we were on lifts and we had harnesses on, but OSHA came in and they fined them like $10,000 per person. They must have had like $120,000 worth of fines by the time they were done. And that happens to a gutter company. You could just hang it up almost.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Steve Ball, who's the has gotten hit with a couple fines. He fights them and tried to get them off over there, but then come back and get you a second time on some of the stuff. So you just got to know the law, and you got to know how to work with it, and then document that you're doing it right. So we do a safety training program in our parking lot with our guys. But the great thing is we're getting lessons from all the gutter guys, like what had happened to them. And then we turn it into it. Here's the problem. And then like, here's what you can do. And we turn it into a story because it's happened to a gutter guy. The only time we're putting it into that is it happened to a gutter guy. Yes, and we're not, because they've got safety programs out there that are unrelated to what we do. So let's just take what's really happening out there. We talk to enough gutter guys that you've got stories of people who got hurt on the job. We've got stories, and we just turn them into, and what should we do? And then we bounce it off of OSHA. What could we do? What should we have done? What are our options? And let's talk about it. So we're going to spend the time and the money and the effort to do it. Noah's on salary. It's costing me a lot of money to do this. But I'm hoping to break even in a couple of years after we get several hundred people joining what this is. And we're going to make it so that every Monday morning, your installers through an email, they literally go on and watch some videos, take a little lesson. They read about it. It's usually pretty funny and comical. And we try to make lighthearted of it there. And so they got to answer a couple questions, and then they hit send. So they get a score. They got it over the score over there. And it goes back to the production manager that, hey, you guys have got your safety thing. It's done. And then you have a record of it. And so that everybody's got it on their phone. They get access to it.
That's
we
awesome.
have a
So it's not just for the owners. The owners are going to get the employees involved, and everybody learns.
Yeah, and it's something fun to do. It'll probably be done on the way to the job site while they're driving, kind of thing. Hey, you got to get it in.
Right? Yeah, it's brilliant.
Right. So that's the thing we're doing. A couple other things we're doing is with hiring. I mean, wouldn't you want to be able to test a gutter guy before you actually hire him when he says he's been doing gutters for 3 years and he was actually on the ground crew cleaning up after roofers,
Yeah.
What does he really know? So we do a little pre-employment test. Okay. And then what about if you just do like, okay, if you know the guy's greener than green, okay, hey, here's a 4-hour course. I need you to take this before you show up to work on Monday morning, and I'll get a response that that you filled out there, because it's going to have questions and answers. So before you get started, you're already going to be tested. And I know you got, at least the sponge has been wet. How you've got the idea. You memorize the parts. You got tested on the parts. So let's get the first thing.
You're coming in with some knowledge.
Yeah, especially if they're green, right? So that's that. So that's kind of the things that we're working with that. So we're working with the Gutter Academy. So that's a whole step-by-step on all the different processes to do that. And we're working with how to hang a half round. It's different. You got to put the brackets up. You got to set chalk lines. Nobody's doing it out there. We're going to take the time to set it up there. I'm going to do it for my company because I need to do good systems in place. My company is All Gutter Systems. Has nothing to do with a gutter system. It has to. I run my business by a system, so Tony can go climb mountains. Okay, so that's it. So it's a system for me. So, so we're just taking another step and making it more formalized to do that. So this is a good product. It's a way to join, and then we can work on standards. And we kind of hold off to talk about standards till the end because it's kind of a big subject.
When's the Gutter Association going to be ready for people to sign up?
So we're beta testing that now. So when different people, we've actually already got them, they're playing with it and we're getting their feedback over there. So a lot of it's up and running already now. We just haven't launched it over there because we want to test it before we get it out there. Yep. So I would say we're going to have a lot of things to go before the end of the year. We'll have more guys testing it. We're just not going to market it. The official launch will be after we've already tested and got the quirks worked out, because I don't want it to fall on its face there. And I'll have my guys test it over and over that we got those little systems worked out with that. So we have we have to integrate with the website that Ross has been working on, still working on. And you have to log into that, and then you'll be able to list your employees' email addresses over there, so they're getting the safety training weekly there. And then we're hopefully going to have some prizes over there. So when we're trying to get the gutter installers to send us funny safety stuff that they've had, pictures and that kind of stuff. So we'll make it interactive a little bit with them. Like, oh my gosh, this is mine's this week, my safety that happened to me when I did whatever that they did. So we're trying to make it so it's be fun. It's there and kind of pull the group together. And then before we get into the whole thing of, the standards, we need to have some standards in our industry.
There's like none.
There is none, right? So let's start off with certain things that we all know that we should do, right? We all know the gutter needs to be flashed, right?
Mm-hmm.
How far? How far does gutter need to be flashed? Half inch? Is that enough? We need to know what that is. We need to have some standards that are set, the front of the gutter versus the back of the gutter. What should it be at? So those are the things that we need to set some standards. So we're going to basically put it out there, and then we're going to get feedback, and then it will see if we can get a consensus. These things take time to work out, and we don't want to be a know-it-all people. We don't know it all.
Develop it with the collective intelligence from everybody.
Right. And there's just some weird anomalies in the market. You go down to, you're in Florida, right? So
I see all kinds of stuff down here.
Yeah. So why is Daytona all 5-inch when the rest of the country is 6 and 7, right?
No.
Why is the whole Midwest 5-inch gutter, unless you go to Indianapolis, and there's not a 5-inch machine anywhere in Indianapolis? It's all 6-inch.
Yeah.
And so, why do they call, the downspouts leaders in New England? So we have all these different things that we have to okay, we're not going to be able to, there's no magic bullet, but we can do certain things, how many, what should be the pull when I pull a downspout off the wall. Okay.
Be tight.
How tight should it be? And how thick should the aluminum to strap it over there? Because I can pull through. There's been some really paper thin. They make them out of really 014 trim coil. They make their pipe straps. I'm like, whoa, we can pull that right through. But maybe
I've always wondered why they made it so thin. I've always made my own out of coil.
Yeah. So it's just whatever people learn. And this is one thing that I've learned by talking to, I always say, over 1,500 gutter guys face to face, that every single one of those guys personally hung the moon. Some of them twice. But then I look at the vehicle they're driving, I'm going like, okay, you know how to hang gutter, but you don't know how to run a business, right? Exactly. So that's why I need guys like you out there to help them,
Yep.
retire with dignity, because we're doing dangerous work.
Technician mindset.
Yeah. So how'd we do? How'd we cover? What do we got left to cover here?
So you want to go over we went over the standards. What do you think are some industry trends that are starting to happen nowadays?
Well, between you and we got the magazine is out. We've got the Gutter Opportunity Magazine, and we're doing Gutter Con. We got some other events. I think they're starting to be in. There's more social media. I think people, they're either in it or they're not, right? Mm-hmm. There's some people that don't do anything on social media. I think that they're not going to learn the new things first out there. I think one of the trends is seeing the Extreme Flow inside miter. Have you seen that one, the Extreme Flow miter over there? It was fun because I actually was having end caps made by that manufacturer that makes that up in Michigan here. And he'd never seen a wood grain. I have wood grain gutter. I got it in 5 colors. Yeah, really? I actually have a mahogany, teak, cherry, maple. I have 5 colors over there, complete with end caps and everything, because I needed it for my underdeck system because we have the panels in those colors. So I went and had all of that made. But so I went in and I said, hey, Bob Jolly, he's up there with Hancock. And I asked him, I says, it's not him in Hancock. Whatever the guy that makes those over there. If I had the magazine here, I'd see it. He said, never seen a wood grain over there. So he made the parts for us, and he showed me the Extreme Flow inside miter. I'm like, that's awesome over there. I want it. And then I went to my supplier, and they said, oh, well, we don't know anything about these. And it was just fun to be on the cutting edge of all this stuff. So I got it. He goes, well, we're only going to stock it in 3 colors. I'm like, okay, I team up with a couple other big guys. We want all the colors. So we'll only one that has it. So if I have it, I've got it. I want the full run. I want all the materials. If I have to buy them extra and put little buying groups together, which I've done a couple buying groups with different.
Is it selling pretty good?
Oh yeah. We use them all the time on inside miters because, let's just say splash guards don't look attractive, right?
Yeah.
And these look pretty good. They look pretty nice, and it's something different, right? It's unique. It's an advantage to the market.
What about the wood grain? I haven't seen wood grain gutters before.
Yeah, so I haven't, we use them primarily on our underdecks, but I do have a few guys
Okay.
around the country who buy the coil and they've got some usually unique application. And most of them, I go back and ask them later, like, oh, yeah, it was for an inside project. They went, oh, okay. They got literally inside and they put up lighting on it in a room or something
Yeah.
to make it look like crown molding. And it's like an office or something, just something different just to get attention. You know, it's like when you go to the home shows, right? Everybody brings out the copper, even though they hardly put up any copper. But
Right.
they put it there because it gets attention and people talk about it. And I think that's kind of how that wood grain is. It gives another option, and it works great in a 6-inch half round machine as well. So,
Yep. I agree. So I think a lot of different profiles are starting to come out and get more popular too. Like you're starting to see a lot more of the European box. And what about up there where you're at?
So we have, I went my first time to Europe last year. My brother was getting married over there. So I was in Amsterdam and Germany, and I never saw anything but half round gutter in Germany.
Really?
And then of course, you know, that's all our minds can see is when we look, that's all we see is gutter, right?
Yeah.
And that's how it was over there. So it was interesting to see it. So I have a half round machine. I have the Nasser multi-profile machine, the last one they made, and they're not making anymore. So I'm trying to put together a group. Anybody that owns a Nasser multi-profile machine, please get a hold of me, private message me. So because I'm trying to work together a buying group to make end caps. Okay.
Yeah.
So collaborate, okay?
Yeah.
So that we can make end caps and make them, you know, affordable, so we can all make them and save ourselves sometimes. And maybe strip miters. Sorry, sometimes I know people don't like strip miters, but so some of those more complicated profiles. We have the crown, we have the triple cove, and we have the two-step. And I know there's more profiles out there, but get a hold of me if you see that. So I'm kind of put the word out for that. So I see that as an industry. I also have a CNC folder. I can bend just about any shape. So I do industrial gutter replacement when you got to go there with electric shears and cut the gutter off and make that the drip edge. So I can make it pretty much any profile. So I have 3 elbow machines. So we make all of our custom offsets. We have a no paint policy. We don't paint anything for our builders. We work with high builders. Yeah.
It just fades in about a year. Looks like
it looks really bad. Yeah, we did apparently paint some job 22 years ago. Now it looks bad, but the customer, well, I don't want to replace them. It's still they still work good. I'm like, well, I go. The good news is we can recycle that aluminum and get you new ones.
Yeah, they'll be used again somewhere.
That's right. Yeah, most people don't realize that almost all of our aluminum for gutters is recycled. It's not virgin aluminum. Yeah, there was only Rolex that was actually using raw aluminum. They're just going to go with the cheapest stuff because it doesn't have to be that higher quality aluminum. You know, I learned that when working with the manufacturer. I thought that was interesting.
What happens to most of the scrap that's being sold? Like, say, when we scrap it, that's going to what, China, and then it gets remade there?
Well, we have smelters in Chicago, so I know the stuff that we ends up going to Chicago.
Okay.
Goes by rail from Grand Rapids there. So I know I personally take my scrap in every week.
Yeah.
Myself. Yep. I got a dump trailer, you know, and the reason I do that is because I want to know what my guys
are throwing away.
Whoa. There's 200 feet of clay gutter here a couple weeks ago. Like, oh, well, yeah. It was wrong color. It's like, oh my gosh, you know, they wanted whatever. It's like, oh, it's supposed to be Norwood. You know, we have too many colors. Yeah. But I want to know, and I bring back, you know, here's a pipe band with sealant on it. You were using my, you know, my 40-cent pipe band to spread sealant. We got all this scrap here. Come in, guys. And then it has to be clean scrap. Oh, we actually do a game. It's kind of funny, but if it's clean, I get the top price for my aluminum. Okay. Actually, I get a better price than anybody else because it's always clean. I worked out a deal out with with my recycler. And so I have a dump trailer, I dump it, I inspect it myself. If I find even one screw, the guys lose. Otherwise, in the next morning, if it's a clean load, we have these little fuzzy dice, and whoever rolls the highest number in the installers, like 8 guys rolling dice out there, and whoever gets the highest number gets a $10 subway card, right?
Oh, and nice. So you have a little incentive for.
That's part of it. But then every week, that same guy gets to roll a second time. And if he rolls 2 6s, he gets the progressive. So right now the progressive is $200. But if it's a dirty load, it goes back to zero. Okay. So now they got $200. Someone's going to get the $200. I paid $175 out before.
So that's
Before
a
I got a
trick
dirty
to make it fun for them, so that way they actually follow through with it. Otherwise,
right.
it's just boring.
Yep. Yeah. Otherwise, yeah. So they got something vested to make sure that is a clean load for aluminum. Just a little thing, but I'm always bringing back, like, why am I bringing back a 3-foot piece of gutter protection?
Right.
Like, whoa, dude, we always start with a piece of a scrap piece first, and then you work to the end. You work from your miters and work out, so you don't end up with so much scrap, and then you can use it. I'll use the scrap up, and this stuff's not free. And I always put a dollar price to it so they understand what it is. And I go, look, and here's $13 worth of materials. Every single week, I take this back. If this is what happens, this is going to cost $650. Who wants to pay me the $650?
No one.
And I tell them, I go, look, gutter companies, if they're run right, they're going to make, 6 to 8%, 9%, after everybody gets paid. Okay. That's about what they make. They're not making crazy money over there, but guys, that's the profit,
Yep.
That is the profit. If you got a whole can, if you're in a grocery business and you drop one can out of the box of 12 soup cans and you have to discount it, that was the profit. That's the profit at the end. That's what I get. Okay. So you guys are throwing out my profit. That's mine. That's my $650. Okay. I guarantee you, if it was your $650, you would. So we play this game, and it just makes it a little more interactive. One of the other things we have to do with, when they know Tony's there in the morning, because I'm usually doing, got a couple businesses, so I might be there for the gutter guys to leave in the morning, maybe twice a week. I try to get it more. But usually I'm bringing Chick-fil-A biscuits or something, trying to get it to get it out there. My undernet guys, they leave on Monday and they travel the whole country and they'll be gone. I only see them whenever they get back the following week, sometime next week, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, depends on whether the weather slowed them down, but they'll leave for 3 or 4 jobs at a time.
That's awesome. So what's your future outlook, and where do you expect the Gutter Association to go?
Well, we have some goals. We like to get a couple hundred guys here within a couple of years to help fund this thing, so we can spend the money and do a really good job and keep everybody interactive on it. So that's what the association is planning to do, and then we're going to keep updating it and give some really cool tools. Kind of staying, if there's anything that we need to do as a group. By setting standards. So standards get set by an industry. So we're the industry. Right now we have no industry that's speaking for us.
Right.
So this is how it works. And people don't always understand how this works, but the International Building Code is a book about yay big, right? And so this thing is really big. And then individual municipalities, whether it's your state, your county, or your city, or even a township, they adopt different things out of that builder code and say, this is our builder code. This is the Florida building code.
They just kind of pick and choose.
Right. They pick and choose what they want. And then Miami may say, well, we're going to take also this one and this one and this one and put it in here. And so they have that. And so their code might be different in one area than it is another. But how do those things even get into the big manual to begin with?
Right.
Is because they become a standard. Okay. And then it's a published standard, and then it can get adopted into the International Building Code.
So are you hoping to eventually get this adopted?
Yes. Right. Okay. And so once we get it into the International Building Code, then it's about your local states to say, well, I want to adopt that this is in there. Because, drip edge has not been standard, or it has not been code in the Carolinas. I used to joke about it. They got a flat fascia board with a little piece of maybe a 1x3 or 1x2 piece of cedar over there. And then the gutter overlap, or the roofing overlaps like 3 inches over top there. And they put the gutter up like that. And it's very common for a gutter guy to show up with 30 or 40 feet of pre-made fascia already painted white, so that when they tear off the old gutter, they got to replace the fascia board. So I always joke about that the Carolinas, just because they grow all this wood, they think it's just a renewable resources. It's just replaceable, just like replacing gutters.
It was the same thing in Tennessee. Actually, when I had my Airbnb over there, I had a rooftop, and so I was on the deck and I could see the gutters because they were like eye level, and it was right over top of the drip edge. It didn't go underneath it. I mean, yeah, you had the overlap, but still. And Florida doesn't even have a building code for gutters. I mean, they do it super gutter for like screen enclosures,
right?
Because it's structural, but the only reason is because it's structural and it's holding up a cage. But
Right.
K-style gutter, regular, seamless, there's nothing, no standard.
Yeah. So when I was with the association before, one of the members over there was part of the at that time was Masco, now True Team. They were having issues with Miami-Dade down there, and so they called me in there to have a meeting, and I was down there was as the president of the Rain Gutter Association, to talk to them and say what the standards are. And the standard was it really ended up being a pissing match between the manager and one of the building guys. He had a bad relationship, and I believe this is all just freaking politics. Well, you got me flying down here for nothing, man. But at the end of the day, it was like the problem that they're having is the projectiles in Florida, right? People put these little extensions on and just stick it on the end, and if it's not secured down, then that becomes a projectile. And we've seen the projectiles of a 2x4 going through a telephone pole, right? Yeah. And so that's what causes all the damage. And so we need a standard for that. How do we secure that? And what's going to be secured? We just went and did, because the guy was so frustrated with the meeting code, we actually bent Rerod to go over after we put on the bottom extension. We would actually take this, I think there was like 12 inches of Rerod bent as a 90 over there, like a horseshoe right
like
on top
horseshoe.
To hold, and then pound it down in the ground. This way they're not going to come loose. Made hundreds and hundreds of these. My dad did on a vise with a heat gun.
I've never heard someone want to do that.
I know.
It makes sense. It does. I mean, a hurricane comes and everything flies.
Right.
Yeah.
And so we just need some standards for that. And so we're hoping that, we can get some published. We're going to have meetings at these different like what are the specifics? And it's going to be a specific issue. Let's start with what we can build some consensus on. And so we're starting off with just like, hey, the gutter needs to go up the drip edge a ½ inch. Let's just start with that.
Yeah.
Okay. So we have that. So I think everybody can agree with that. So we start with something, and then we can decide whether, how many straps need to be on a 2-story downspout, or 3 suffice. That's good. Or what is that? Do we just set those standards? Let's go with the easy hanging fruit, and then later we can work on some more of the difficult things based on what your water intensity is, because certain parts of the country, even though they get more rain than probably Florida does in Seattle, but they don't get it all at once. It's a slow drain for 4 days. Yeah. And that's why they can get away with those little 2x2 downspouts. Like, so what? And they still got 4-inch gutter. Yeah, that's because it doesn't rain that much.
Yeah.
Or it doesn't rain that much at once. And so they don't need that. And so there's all these different maps, and we're looking at all of this. We got the SMAC manual. I've already paid the money for it. There's a lot of good stuff in there, but how do you decipher that? And basically you're going to come out where your city is or your area that you work in. What is the code for that? And then you're going to have different zones that you're going to have different rules with. And that's when it gets a little bit tricky.
A little more complicated. Like if you have snow, I hear a lot of the guys are going 16 inches on the hangers. You don't really have to do that in Florida. You could go every 2 feet.
Yeah. Well, it's crazy because actually code is 4 foot. It's like, well, who come up with that?
Is it really?
Yeah, code is actually 4. And yeah, so every 4.
That's 4. Yeah, it's pretty 4.
Yeah. That's so it should be. Everybody does 2 foot, and that's fine. And so maybe we make that the standard, unless there's extreme circumstances. Metal roof's the issue over here. We get metal roof, and then you have the snow load. All that pressure just slopes, and it depends on what the pitch is, right? That can affect it too. And then you have all the different options to put on there for breaks of the blocks. You glue those on there, and then they fall off. And and an icicle hits somebody, and somebody's going to get sued. So
luckily, I don't know anything about that.
No.
No.
Southern boy through and through.
Yep. That's awesome, man.
Yep. So
well,
let's see what else.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. What else we got to cover there? We had to look. No, so we're going to be reaching out to people as we get further along in this process. But if you have some information you'd like to dump into us, we're willing to take it and look at it. And Noah's usually handling most of them. He's kind of the director. We're basically calling ourselves the Rain Gutter Contractor Association. So Rain Gutter RGCA and RGA Rain Gutter Association. Real simple. Rain Gutter Association RGA. So what's our website actually going to be at?
It's raingutterassociation.org. There is a website up there now that has tons of information on it, but the sign up stuff and everything will become active here in the next few weeks and everything. So
Next few weeks, we'll be able to start getting more information on there. So,
And I know you said that you're still in beta testing, but just a time frame, 6 months, 3 months.
yeah, I was by the end of the year, we're going to have most of it up. Most
Okay,
of it
great.
running over there. But then we know that we're beta testing. We're going to label it that way so that you know that, yeah, this isn't the final product. This is just where we're getting started at there. And, we're getting lots of feedback. And so, okay, we got to go back and refilm that and put that this way because the way we do things is there. We like to have standards, and then we have acceptable deviations, right?
Right.
And so that's kind of how we're mapping this thing out so that we can get everybody on board, is to do that. And they go, okay, I can see how that could be a standard, but not in my area. Well, that's because you're in an area that gets 300 inches of snow. Okay. So you're going to have a different standard. You got to,
Yeah. Yeah. A little common sense in there too. Yeah.
Right. Well, common sense, but just got to keep your attitude out of that. I try to look, when you and I are having an issue, it's over there. And so we're just talking about it over there. It's not, I don't want it to go between us. Okay. It's that issue. And so some people just love to take things personal. Like, no, it's over there. I don't care. Whatever the hell it goes.
Yeah.
Let's just talk about it over here and just try to keep it that way.
That makes sense. So
yeah. So
yeah, I'm glad somebody's doing it, because the industry definitely needs it. So I mean, that's great that you're kind of blazing.
We appreciate all the good words and all the support that we can get there. We're trying to get some of the the bigger vendors that are out there to help us support us, what we're doing. So as we get it all packaged together, we'll go send it to, go sit down with Sunox and ask them to, approve it, and we'll try to get, Spectra and some of the, KWM and the different players involved.
Everybody
We got to
on board.
Trying to get everybody together. It's not easy to do it. But it's going to take some work. So
you got gutter growth behind you, so we like it.
We're behind you too. You're companies like you, what you're doing, make it so people are like, oh, okay, there is help out there, because there's been, for so long, there's been no help, right?
Absolutely.
I mean, I had a small little group together of Michigan guys, Steve Ball up in Traverse City, and a couple other guys that we were getting together and we were talking, that we weren't competitors. And that's kind of how we're setting up, this, the opportunity we have for the Gutter Cruise, which is February 18th to the 25th. Private message me. Yeah.
That's right. Is that right after GutterCon?
It's right after
Right
GutterCon.
after. Where is that cruise going to be at?
It's going to be right out of Port Canaveral.
Okay.
So right next to Orlando. So no additional flights needed. We'll go out of there, and we leave, I think, out of there at the port around 4 o'clock. We have 3 sea days that we have breakout sessions. So you'll be able to write this thing off, because you're going to learn a lot from other gutter companies. And it's set up a little different than most things, is that everybody there, we have different subjects, and you're going to talk about, let's talk about what's worked and what hasn't worked about hiring employees. And everybody there will bring in something, little groups of 8 to maybe 12, what works and what didn't work. And then we can have a discussion about that. And that's more than enough information just to have, but we're going to have different things. We'll talk about performance-based pay. Let's talk about, administrative, how do you handle accounts receivables? Which is, sometimes an issue. So OSHA, we're going to talk about OSHA, what we can do, what we can't do, and what's worked and what's not. We're going to talk about the safety. We're going to talk about all those different little things. We're going to break out groups. And as people sign up, we're going to sign them up so they're not actually talking about this right in front of their direct competitor, because eventually there will be some people that are in the same town. And so we have to do a little bit. So it's first come, first serve. You get first served up there, you get to fill up the tables first. But we're also
that's exclusive kind of as well.
Yeah. So I got to pull it together. So I have 40, we have 50 rooms, staterooms that we have reserved. And right now they're going for, the price that I've got is about $300 to $400 less than what they're going for. So this cruise will sell out. I've got good price rooms. And so I got to get them cleared out by the end of October. Otherwise I got to turn them back over to Royal Caribbean. I don't want to do that. I want to, I'm confident I'm going to sell it out, because I haven't even promoted this thing yet. Yeah. I've got people over there. So I'm sending it out. So you can get an inside room for 2 people for less than $2,000. And you can get a boardwalk balcony for under $3,000 for 2 people. There is to cover our room space, because we're having our own rooms that are just for our meeting space.
Sure.
We have that cost, and then we have 3 cocktail parties that are just us getting together. We'll be doing dinner together as groups, and you'll be sitting with people over there. We'll be sitting in one area of the dining room. We're doing the early dining. We'll all be in groups over there, so you'll be able to group up with groups of 8 to 12 people in a group. So you'll be sitting there together. The ladies will probably go to one side of the table if they're not involved in the business. The guys are going to talk shop. That's how it works. But we're going to learn so much just by doing that.
The networking's so important. So
Yes.
important. I think a lot of guys don't realize how important it is, but once they get out there and go, I mean, they learn so much from these conversations. And not only that, the relationships that you build. It's
that way when you got a question,
it.
I get those calls. I get those calls quite frequently.
Yeah.
Or usually they ask me, they usually text me first, "Hey, Tony, you have time to talk?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm driving tomorrow. Call me anytime and keep me awake," And because I do a lot of crisscrossing across the country doing my business. But then we have, so we have 2 ports. We have St. Thomas and St. Martin. So St. Thomas is the Virgin Islands, U.S. Virgin Islands, and St. Martin is half Dutch and half French island. And then the other, the first port we hit to is Coco Cay, which is a private island. And so you can get all your foods free on the island. And then you can get your drinks. You can use your same drink package if you're going to use that there. So the prices that I just showed don't include your drinks or your gratuities.
Sure.
They do include the port taxes. And then there's an additional fee in order for me to put this whole thing together. It's $25 per person per day, and that includes the cocktail parties with the drinks, and those rooms, and then the meeting rooms that we have. But if your kids are coming along, or if you got a spouse that isn't coming along, then there's not that, we call it a fun fee there. I've actually gone through the Florida process to become a travel agent so I can put this together. So I mean, if it all goes real well, I get a free cruise and I make $2,000. So it's not like I'm making big money out of it. I mean, my business is doing, we're going to, do close to 8 million in business. So I'm not doing it for money, but I'm just not going to do it for nothing. Right. Just like I'm not going to, if I have to do something, I might as well do it and make some money out of it too.
I agree. So for the guys who don't know, what date is that?
So it's the February 18th to the 25th.
Okay, and that's right after GutterCon.
Yep, GutterCon goes from the 15th to like the 17th. There's nothing going on in the morning of the 18th there, so you just go wake up at the hotel and clear your head and pack your bags and get on the cruise. Take an Uber over to the cruise port over there. Groups of 4 people at a time can get there for, I don't know, $25-$30 a piece. It's probably about what it would cost to Uber back and forth there.
That's awesome. So
yep, and I'm a frequent cruiser. I've been with Royal Caribbean. I don't know, probably be about 230 nights by the time this cruise gets off. So I've been there a lot of cruises. So if you have questions on cruising, or if you ever want to go on a cruise and you want some pointers, I can give you pointers, and I can book it. But I'm not a full-time agent by any means, so it takes me a while. I'm really specialized in Royal Caribbean because I'm pretty loyal to them.
I got some catching up to do. I think I got 6 days in.
Yeah. All right.
You
gotta start somewhere, right?
That's it. So it was nice having you on, man. I appreciate you coming, and I think everybody's going to get some value out of this. And definitely, I mean, it's a must do. It's a no-brainer to get into the association. This industry needs standards, and we support you, and we're glad you're doing it.
Okay. We're excited for you. Okay. I'm excited that you're taking off on this. Is a new venture for you as well. This gutter growth. I think it's exciting because I feel like I've been in your shoes. We're going to have some more conversations just to talk about life a little bit. So I really actually enjoyed talking to you just a little bit that we've met just recently at the huge convention. I'm like, oh wow, okay. I want to spend more time with this guy is what I felt like. That was and all in all, gutter guys, we love to get together and chat. So
we do. Yep. We're all one and the same, kind of. So
all right.
All right, Tony. Thanks, man.
Thank you.
Have a good one.